Hello friends, today we are discussing the point analgesics. Analgesics are of two types. Analgesics are the drugs which affect directly central nervous systems and which depresses the central nervous system so that the insensibility to pain without the loss of consciousness, which is not more depression to the central nervous system. It is depresses in some extent so that the nerves coming from the painful area or injured area, that nerve sensation should be depressed in some extent so that patient feels comfort and relief. Narcotics, it can be defined as consciousness products produced by the drugs. Narcotics are the drugs which are used for the unconsciousness. Generally, it is induces the sleep and produces the increased tolerance to the pain. If patients went on to sleep, then at that time some minor pains and some injuries, it forget it and feel some comfortness at that time. It is also the respiratory depressant and effect on the cerebral vasodilation in the central nervous systems. The opium is the derived milk, and the example of the narcotics drugs are the opium. Opium are the uh, come under the category of central narcotics drugs, and it is cultivated only for the medicinal use. If it is cultivated for the other use, then it is come under the crime. Opium is the derived milky exudate of the unripe seeds capsules of the species of the plant called Papaver somnifera. The opium alkaloid and their derivatives are narcoanalgesic. Opium alkaloid exists at two distinct structural classes. Two distinct structural classes. One is the phenanthrene, example morphine, codeine, thiobane. Generally, we find that whenever performing the operations or any injuries to the body, intentional injuries to the body, so that to cure the diseases or perform the any operations, at that time some drugs are given to the patients. So these drugs are central nervous depressants. It depresses the total neuron transmissions and neuron messages, so that if any part of the body is injured or performing the operation at that part's sensation, pains cannot be transferred to the central nervous system. It is blocked by these drugs, so that patient feels comfortness, rest, and operations also can be performed easily. But nowadays, due to this the central nervous system depressants, some patients or some students, some peoples are using these drugs as an addict, so that as it is used for the addictions, so it is crime and it is seized and arrested under the Narcotic Drugs Act and NDPS Act. So this is only purpose of this drug is only for the medicinal use. So nowadays this is for the addictions coke. You have heard so many times in the news that some patients are smuggling the drugs, morphine, codeine, and it's about 1 crore, 2 crore, but it is so much costly, the most demand, so much costly. So in these categories of the drugs, that is narcotics, two subcategories, that is phenanthrene drugs and even in the benzyl isoquinoline drugs. The phenanthrene drugs example are morphine, codeine, and thiobenes. And benzyl isoquinoline categories, example the papaverine, nescapines are the drugs. These drugs are cultivated. Special observations of government give the permissions license where for very few peoples, very few organizations to cultivate these drugs. If anyone cultivated this drug without the permission of the government, it is a crime and it is a penable act, a non-bailable penable act. Non-narcotics. The non-narcotics analgesics as a groups relieve pain without interacting with the opioid receptors. They possess anti-inflammatory property and are known as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug (NSAID). Further, they reduce the elevated body temperature antipyretic effect. They are non-addictive doses required to produce the analgesics. The non-narcotics are classified on the basis of their chemical structure as follow. Like salicylates are the kind of the category of non-narcotics. Example is aspirin. Cyclohexanol derivatives. Example is tramadol. Pre-aminophenol derivatives. Example phenacetin. Phenylacetic acid derivative. Example diclofenac. Propionic acid derivative. Example ibuprofen. These are the drugs, non-narcotic drugs. These are generally prescribed by the doctors in the allopathic. Um, allopathic. Uh, we will discuss the next topic, that is the chemical group salicylic acid derivatives in the next lecture. Thank you.